Mod cons, mod cons.
Mod cons, mod cons.
So to introduce ourselves, I'm Jamila.
And I'm Laura.
And this is Mod Cons. Mod Cons stands for Modern Conservatives.
And what we're kind of, trying to do is, not just be the hated party forever.
We're no longer the nasty party. We've been
it's someone else in the Labour
Party.
Also, we're going to, go out and see what people are doing, what they what their opinion is of us, what their thoughts are, just generally.
Yes, we're going to report back.
Yeah.
On from the streets of London and everywhere else we go about what people are thinking about certain topics.
Exactly.
Of the week.
Yeah. Current
affairs. How are Labour doing? How are the Conservatives doing? Does anyone care? And I'm sure we're going to have some random debates and
for sure
fun stuff
and guests.
Cool we have lots of guests. So next week we're talking with James Cowling, who is the co-founder of Next Gen Tories. They're kind of modern conservatives as well.
They're like our counterpart.
There are some things. So it kind of works.
Yeah. Everyone keeps mentioning change. However, what does that actually mean?
What does it
because
mean?
Currently, as it stands, I think the general consensus is the public are disheartened with all political parties, and so what we want to do is, really point out the good conservative values and ideas that we have and actually push those forward, because I think you can't really dislike them that much if you actually know what they are. As we are Mod Cons, it's a new podcast. You want to know a little bit about your hosts, so I think the only thing we need to do is do a little interview. So Jamila, tell me more about you. First of all, what have you been up to this week?
So this week it was my birthday on Monday. Whoop whoop.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Laura very kindly bought me some treats, which I had sitting here because I really wanted to show you guys. She went to Paul and got me lots. This isn't everything. She got me loads more as well.
Yeah,
so
that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Top, so it was my birthday on Monday. That was nice. Had some fun. Not too much fun because I had to wake up early. Tuesday I was on the Jeremy Vine show.
Tell me more. What happened?
That was fun.
How was it? What did you talk about? What were you on there for?
Well, I was on there because I stood in the election this year, and I'd met Jeremy a few years ago, and we got chatting. And this week on the Jeremy Vine show, we were talking about all sorts. Like, should the Tories apologise?
So how did that go down?
It went well. It went well. So I got there. A car picked me up at like 6:30 in the morning. It was an early rise. It was really cool. It's my first time doing it. I'd like to do it again, so we'll see.
So what was your highlight there, and what did you think you argued well for, in favour of or against?
I think I did a decent job, like defending the Conservative Party, which I do like to do. I was a bit stumbly on my words and I couldn't really get them out, but once I did, I think I did an okay job. So I quite like that. Just being on set was really exciting. We'll share some of my clips on our socials, ModCons Pod. Do follow us.
Exactly, absolutely, definitely do. Okay, let's go a bit deeper. Where are you from originally?
So I am from London. My parents are from London. My grandparents are all four of them from Jamaica, which is exciting and makes me very exotic. My name is Arabic, Jamila. I won't tell you what it means because it embarrasses me, but you'll know
what
if you speak Arabic.
We want to know.
I couldn't say.
Do I have to Google it? I can't even Google it. My phone.
The phone has died, so she can't know.
Okay.
So I grew up in London. I went to school in West Sussex in Horsham. Christ Hospital. We wore yellow socks, Tudor uniform. It was a great school. Founded by King Edward, son of Henry VIII. I love that story. I love that heritage. It makes me very proud. Running through the cloisters in my yellow socks and my Tudor coat.
Love it.
Very cool. This is not a good way to make people like Conservatives. Just I'm gonna scrap this. But I loved it. And then I came back to uni. Well, I did a year abroad, which we now say.
Tell us a bit more about what you do and your day-to-day life and work and stuff like that.
So in 2017, 2016, I launched a makeup app. So I've been doing, it's called Slap with 2 P's. And I've been doing that for the last 8 years. I'm kind of looking at starting a new business now, as all entrepreneurs do. They're always on to the next thing. So I want to do some work with young people and apprenticeships, getting them into work. But it's going to take a little while to actually do it. There's lots of bureaucracy and stuff. So that's next what I want to do. Obviously our podcast and more political commentary, I think, would be.
How did you start with the makeup? How did that happen?
So I was working as a fashion and beauty journalist. So I was working for Brazzo magazine, contributing to them, see our fashion book. And I was going to lots of events, and I saw kind of a gap in the market, and so I wanted to, kind of fill it.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah,
tell us what. Just get, because
Okay.
you know, makeup is makeup, but what
Makeup
what
is
it
makeup.
actually is your.
So the idea is you take a selfie. Makeup was very hard to shop for. So when I went to school in West Sussex, there weren't many like department stores nearby.
Yeah.
So I used to wait till I got to London till I could find like makeup for me,
Yeah.
especially in my shade as well. And then when I was like working as a journalist in the beauty industry, outside of getting lots of free stuff, which you do, whenever I wanted to actually buy something, I still found it really difficult.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, that's a problem. Like that's the same problem 10 years later. It hasn't changed. So I wanted to create an app where you take a selfie, you'll instantly match the right makeup for your skin tone, wherever you are in the country or the world, whenever you want. However. So that was the idea.
How did you get into like the political realm? So you were in the sort of more beauty journalism and your own company and stuff, but how did it progress into you know, first of all conservative, and then also just politics in general? What's going on there?
Well, it's funny actually, because I used to think I was much more like, a lot of my friends from school were very left wing, and I kind of grew up in that Tony Blair era, or things can only get better, that era, and I kind of thought that's who I was. And then things started to happen. Like, obviously, when you start your own business, you realize that there are parties that are for entrepreneurs and business owners, and there are parties that are not. And I realized that the Conservative Party was much more concerned with actually helping people to start up something for themselves and not rely on like handouts. And that like is the fundamental reason I would always back conservative values, because it's all about self-empowerment. It's all about encouraging people to be the best version of themselves, rather than telling them, you're poor, you're there, stay there, we'll help you stay there, don't try and be anything else. And that for me just doesn't fit right, just doesn't sit right with me.
It shouldn't.
It shouldn't. So like, obviously I had that, and then as I started my business, it was like even more ingrained into me, just by like things that the Conservatives were doing for business owners. And then we had the London mayoral election, and it was Zach Goldsmith versus Sadiq Khan.
I remember that.
Sadiq Khan just did not sit right with me. It was not okay. Like, he just felt to me like a car salesman. It just, everything about him was super slippery, and I just was not feeling him at all. Whereas I felt like Zach Goldsmith was really kind of pushing a very modern, entrepreneurial, green agenda that I was just totally in step with, and I really liked him. I know his campaign kind of sadly ended, and there were a few things that didn't go to plan for him, I guess. But I thought he was really interesting and fresh, and I was actually talking to someone about this yesterday. So that definitely for me was a step. And then we had Brexit, and I was very pro-Brexit, even though I voted to remain.
How did that? Wait, what? Okay.
I know.
Wait a minute.
I know.
How did that happen? Like, what changed your mind? Or so you voted Remain? First of all, why did you vote Remain? And then, what made you actually change your mind because a lot of people have gone the other way. So it's interesting.
So for me, like, I always understood the reason that people wanted to vote to leave the EU, because I found the EU very overbearing. Like, obviously I love to travel around Europe on one passport, it's great. But I didn't like the way they were kind of encroaching on our lives. I felt like they were very bossy, and I felt like our sovereignty was being infringed upon, and I kind of got that argument from why people wanted to leave the EU. But then I felt like I'd been so conditioned by the left in my like youth that I thought like, oh, we should just stay. Let's be safe. Let's stay on the safe side and just stay with the status quo. So I kind of got the argument, and I was kind of feeling it. I was like, well, let's go. And then I was in the polling booth. I genuinely didn't know which way to go, and I was just like, I'm just going to be safe. I got annoyed with myself for doing that, and I thought, politically, I don't want to be safe anymore. I don't want to do the things that I'm expected to do. I think like sometimes in your background, sometimes in your friendship circles, you feel like a pressure to do what other people want you to do, and that's just not my personality. So I think for me that was quite a turning point, where I was like, I'm not going to do what people want me to do anymore. I'm going to do what the hell I want.
Brexit was your turning point.
It was. It was.
Well, that's cool. Okay, so let's fast forward a bit. So you do quite a lot actually within the Conservative Party, and and all these sort of little fringe groups as well coming out of them. So tell us a bit more. What are you involved in? You're way more involved than me, and I'm pretty involved.
You're very involved.
So yeah, tell us more.
So when I decided, when I joined the party, I already knew, I already knew I wanted to be an MP. Like I knew from a very young age, and then I kind of went off and was like, I'm fashion now. Like I can do other things. Fashion. And then I kind of decided I'm coming back and to what I really want to do. And so I already knew that I wanted to be an MP. So I was kind of on a mission.
Yes.
And people don't realize, like, even though you can join any association when you join your party, it's quite hard to initially get in there.
Yes.
And I'd send like the odd text. So I joined my association, but I wasn't really like in there.
Yeah.
I didn't really know what to do next. And so
like an audience member rather than you're officially in, but you haven't met anyone and you haven't spoken to anyone. You don't know what the hell you're doing. And I like the CWO, which is Conservative Women's Organisation. For me, that was a really helpful way of getting in, because also I joined during COVID, so April 2020. So I'm a newbie. I'm like fresh off the boat, Conservative. Like some people have been in since they were like 12 or like they were born. I'm like they were born literally, not me. So I joined in April 2020 and it was COVID. So like, a lot of things were virtual. So the Conservative Women's Organisation, CWO, did a lot of like online Zooms and things. And so it was really easy to ask people questions and like kind of troubleshoot, how do I get involved? What shall I do more of? Blah, blah, blah. There's also another organisation called 50/50. They're kind of looking for a 50/50 parliament. So we have complete equal representation. Not everyone's going to agree with that. Some people are like, oh, women, they want everything. I'd say, yeah, fine. But it's a nice idea. Since we make up half the population, over half. So it should be what, 40, 60? 60, 40,
actually. Let's do it. 60, 40, let's do it. Yeah, eventually became deputy chair for the CWO in my area, which was Kensington, Chelsea, Fulham. And then became chair of that. So now I'm chair of that. Set up a speaking club, which I like, which you come to. Thank you very much. Sometimes.
When I can.
When you can.
Not often enough, actually.
Not often enough. It's coming back. We lost a lot of the MPs I'd already lined up for September. So it's a bit awkward. I actually had someone literally ready. Oh, it's so annoying. Anyway, he lost his seat. It was Sunday. I'm also vice chair of the Conservative Rural Forum, which is like one of my favourite groups in the whole world.
That's cool.
It's very cool. It's all about trying to speak up for rural communities, like having gone to school in West Sussex. I really wanted to like do more for people who have that kind of upbringing. I'm vice chair of the Conservative Kensington, Bayswater, Chelsea and Fulham Association. So like the bigger branch. It can get confusing. We'll go into local government and local associations at another day. But vice chair for that.
Okay, cool. That's
a school governor of 2 schools in Kensington.
Wow.
I know, I'm busy bee.
What does how do you fit all that in?
I don't. No, I do, but it's hard. It's hard.
Can you like? Is there is there like a template to do that, or do you just sort of as and when people need you, you're like, okay, cool, I'm here?
Yeah, well, like you have your calendar.
Yeah,
and my diary is my best friend. Without it, I'd be nothing.
And then from all of that, you then actually decide to stand.
Yes, so I
just MP.
Yes,
so a member of parliament.
Yes, like I said, I signed up because I was already a Conservative voter before I joined.
Yes,
but I joined because I wanted to do something.
Yes, so
I was already knowing that I wanted to be an MP, but it's a long journey. And you send your first email saying, "I'd like to stand for parliament." And they're like, don't respond. And then you're like, "I'd really like to stand for parliament." They're like, "Okay, give us a bio." So you have to give them a bio, and when you don't hear anything back, and you're like, "Hey, I'd still like to stand for parliament," and they're like, "Don't care." It's like really like dating. They're really trying to make you work for it. Like, do you really want to stand for parliament? Eventually, you do get to apply.
Build that thick skin.
They build that thick skin, exactly. So they do that. There's lots of emails. I'm like, "Hey, did you see my email that I'd really like to stand for parliament?" You do that a lot.
Oh God!
And then eventually, you can apply for.
Is it literally just by email, or is there anyone you can speak to, or like kind of be like, "Hey, I sent 5 emails."
Yeah, actually they had 2. and one came after the other, but two like women's engagement officers,
Yeah.
Parvino and Tori, who were literally incredible and gave us so much advice. And without them, I probably wouldn't have got to the stage I did. Just because it's nice to like be able to ask questions and have them answered. So that's always nice.
Yeah.
And I was like,
yeah.
And they kind of take you under their wing and give you advice.
Yes. So you ended up standing for Brent.
I did. I stood for Brent East in the general election. East.
Brent East.
Against Dawn Butler. Very. It's funny because I didn't think I'd stand against someone high profile.
Okay.
But everyone knows Dawn Butler. It's weird. Every person I tell, they're like, oh yeah, know her. Everyone has different reactions, of course, but they all know her.
So you're sort of campaigning around Brent East.
Yeah, Brent East.
And then what happens? So it gets to the day, you know, when it's the vote.
Yes.
Are you there like all night counting votes?
Like, I was the only one. I didn't realise it wasn't cool to go to your own count. Some people showed up literally for the reading at like 4 a.m. We were hanging around. I won't say who. Yeah. But I was there at like 10:30, like I'm ready, and no one was there.
Sign me up,
literally.
Yeah. So how did it feel when you got the results and you didn't win? Obviously, I assume you expected not to win because it was your first try and because it was you know, not in conservative territory per se. But how did it feel? And also, what are you going to do next?
It was really good, actually. Like being there, like I was on my own for a little while, and it was just a really nice experience, actually, because you're in a real 360 moment. You're sitting there on the night of your count, like no one else is really around, and you're just like, wow, I actually did it. So that's exciting and nice. And I was very calm because I already knew the outcome. So I felt really bad, but like there were a lot of people who were in very safe conservative seats that lost their seat.
Yes.
And so that must have been a really horrible experience for them because it's so touch and go that you might win it. The anxiety must have just been so stressful.
So you want to be an MP.
I do.
And then say the next time you run, you become an MP.
Yeah.
What is your biggest kind of challenge or passion that you really want to change or put to the forefront for, you know, society and people and the public and the party?
So definitely the thing I'm most focused on, which is why I want my next project or business, I'm not sure how huge it's going to be or whatever, but to be is like getting people into work. Like that's a big passion of mine, mainly because I just don't believe that people languishing away on the state is good for them. Like there's a reason that mental health has gone up. Obviously we're coming out of a pandemic and there are other factors, but there's nothing that makes you feel more depressed than waking up in the morning and having nothing to do. And yeah, on one day that's great, or 1 week that's lovely, but after being like doing that for 18 months, it will make you so depressed. It's so demoralizing, and it's a waste of your talent, it's a waste of your time, it's a waste of your life.
It's like a vicious
cycle. So there are definitely like lots of reforms I want to do in terms of the welfare state and getting people back into work. And like I genuinely believe, I strongly believe that everyone is good at something.
Yes.
And it's just a case of finding out what
nurturing
that is.
That talent.
Exactly, nurturing that. So that's my biggest priority. Going forward. Okay, so you. What's your name?
My name is Laura.
Laura B.
Laura B. Exactly.
Awesome. So where did you grow up? Where are you from?
So I grew up in London, central London.
Nice.
Born and raised.
I love that.
Yeah. So I junior school was actually in Chelsea.
Nice.
Nice school. But then I moved around a lot in secondary school, like a lot.
Where did you go?
All over the place.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Were you in London all
no, I moved away for a bit here and a bit there.
Yeah.
I was in a couple of different places, then we came back to London for all sorts of reasons.
Fair.
But long. But came back, did my I did university. I went to university.
Nice.
I wasn't going to because I was also doing other things. I was doing like modelling and a bit of acting and presenting and all these kind of stuff. I was already doing that.
Right.
I've been doing it or whatever, but I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to uni, and I studied commercial music. The only reason I went was because I wanted to meet sort of producers and do some like studio time. So my thing, this is just not the way you meant to do uni. You don't just go in thinking, I'll just do 1 year then by the second year, it's like, oh, okay, well, I'm making some cool stuff and
Yeah.
meeting some great like producers and doing some cool stuff out of uni. So I was
Yeah.
like, I'll stay for another year. And then by the third year, I was like, well, it's just one more year. Might as well just be here.
I'm here now.
Yeah, so I did it, finished.
Amazing.
And then and since then I've worked with a lot of like DJs, worked with some really good record labels, and you know, everything from session work to writing to like featuring on tracks.
Nice.
But I'm not known. But
what do you do? Do you sing or do you rap? Is that a silly question?
I sing. I do not rap. I may have some spoken word. But,
oh, nice.
but
okay.
no.
Slow things down.
But no, sing.
Amazing.
So yeah, so I did that. Because that's kind of what I was into, even though I was doing like other things. You know, I also was working in clubs at the time, like doing the door. You know, you can love you or you hate me, it's fine.
People are going to be seeing your face and this, that girl. Let me in.
Yeah. But most people, like, it's literally I am the Marmite of London.
London's nightlife.
Yeah. So you either love me or you hate me, and it is what it is. But
well, at least anyone who listens to this podcast can get in. It's a promise. It's a guarantee. What? No. So what made you go into that world? Like, what was it? Just a gut thing? Were you like, this is exactly where I want to be. This is what I love. What kind of pushed you that way?
So I always was interested in like you know, acting and music and stuff like that. I did some stuff with one of the theatre schools in London when I was younger as well. So nice. I always had an interest. I didn't go to the schools, but I did their summer schools, and I did, and so I was always interested. And then I was sort of asked if I want to do some modelling, and obviously who doesn't want to do modelling and get paid? Like your independence. I was like young as well. I was like young, so I was like, yeah, I want to do it. And then just from that, just, you know, you get a few commercials, you get music videos, you get like all these other things because they want models or they want this look, and you're already in the system. So so you do all that stuff. Anyway, and then clubs. The reason it started is because someone wanted a model host. So I was like, okay, I'll be a model host.
Interesting.
That's how it started.
Right, that makes sense.
And then I got to know it real quick because I've been partying since I was very young as well. Like, younger than you should be. But it's fine because I love music. Like it was all about
going for the music.
I was going for the music, and also I had a lot of friends there. But Central London is a very interesting place to be when you're very young. You really have to be switched on, otherwise you get totally
immersed. Have your wits about you. Sure.
But it was fun, and I enjoyed it, and I'm still involved in clubs. You know, I work. I'm based in one, but I work with others, and you know, I'm always around. And so I did that, and then on top of that, because I was involved in like doing a few short films and stuff as well, I also work with an American company, and I do film reviews for film festivals. So like BFI, which does the London Film Festival. I very often I'm out and about there. I'll go and view like as many films and interview some people.
That's so good.
And write reviews as well, so written and whatever. And then also, although I haven't done it since COVID because I've been extremely busy doing other things, but I also did Tribeca Film Festival for like a number of years.
That's awesome.
So I do whatever I can when I can. But it's all quite sporadic. But it's good.
So how did you then venture into the world of politics?
Well,
like how did that happen?
Yeah, exactly. No, it's very unusual, particularly for me, because it's not really something that I was ever that interested in. I've always kind of been conservative, and you know, when it comes to vote, I would vote. But then I was just really fed up with Sadiq Khan, to be honest.
He really motivates us.
Thanks, Sadiq. But I was just like, God, like, what is he doing? And I really wanted to support. At the time, it was Sean Bailey. So Sean Bailey was running for against Sadiq. So I was like, I've got to put my money where my mouth is. So I actually joined the Conservatives. I've never joined really before. I was like, what's the point? Long story short, I did all the campaigning, did knocking on the doors, did all the leaflets, got involved, like, and actually met some really amazing, great people. Like some of the local councillors, some of the local community. I kept it quite local, so I lived around like Chelsea, Kensington area. So I kind of kept it around there, and yeah, I just met some great people, and I was like, okay, cool. I like this little community. It's like a whole new thing for me, because never, like, everyone I know, not everyone I know, but a lot of people that I know, particularly creatives, are slightly left leaning. And so I was just like, oh wow, okay, this is cool. And they were all interesting and all came from different backgrounds, doing different things as well. So I decided to stick with it, join them. And then one of the counsellors one day, Jem, was like, have you thought about, wanting to be a counsellor? And I was like, what does that even mean? What does that even mean? Seriously, like, I see you running around with me, like handing out leaflets and knocking on doors, but like, and you can sort of have a say in the potholes in the road, or some green hanging trees. I don't know. I was just like, what does this mean? Okay, so I was like, okay, let me research it a bit, and I was like, okay, cool, yeah, why not? So then I did the whole like thing, becoming a candidate. It's kind of like a smaller version of what you do, much smaller, but still you have to do an essay, answer questions, build your CV, I guess, if you like, and also you then go and stand in the ward. So in a borough you have different wards, and so you have to stand the ward that you are up for, or that you want to go for, whatever. So it could be one that you live in, or it could be like a neighbouring one. Anyway, so the one I stood for that I wanted was a neighbouring one, and I was up against some really incredible candidates, especially on paper. So literally, one of them was just like totally engrossed in the community, and he, like, everyone knows him. He was like the mayor of Kensington and Chelsea. He's like this big character, like he's absolutely going to get it. When there's three people for this particular award, right? And I was just like, okay, cool. So that means possibly two. Right then, who's in? Possibly two. Then the next one is like this really sweet girl who works for like government. So like she does these like big jobs in government, and like she's super sweet and intelligent, and just knows the jargon and knows about politics. So I'm like, okay, maybe there's one more seat, maybe. Maybe. And I was like, either way, let me just try. Like if I don't get it, it's not meant to be. Yeah. So the third one, and there were a few other candidates that applied, but I was like, who is my competition? And these are the people that were my competition. And the third one is someone that also like he's a character, he's feisty, he's fully immersed, like he does a lot for like the Conservatives, and he he was working at Number 10. He was doing like stuff with like the special advisors to the PM, and I was just like, what? So I was like, oh god, okay, so they're all amazing. Okay, well, maybe something will happen. Maybe I'll won't get this one that I want, but maybe I'll get one in another area. So I'm like, okay, cool, didn't get it. These three got it, and then I was like, okay, great, I'll apply for somewhere else. Didn't get it somewhere else, and then I was like, okay. Then I get a call. Something happens. So one of the candidates, for whatever reason, couldn't or didn't want to, whatever it was, it couldn't be involved, and so I was the next one. So I got it by default. By default,
not by default. Destiny.
But
we like to call it.
But no, it was really like, what? It was such a surprise. And then I got the call, and I was like, okay, yeah, great, I'm in. Let's do it. And so I was excited. I was interested. It's a lot of work. Yeah. And then it's a steep learning curve as well. And then you have to also you have to get elected. So that's just the first bit. So I've already gone up against these like heavy hitters, and I'm like, oh god, all right. And now the next bit is you have to get like the public to actually vote for you. I'm like, what? So you just do the same thing. You go knock on doors, you get to know people, you get to know your community. I'm not really that good at that, because like I am the sort of person, if you knock on my door, I'm not answering it unless I know you're coming. Even if it's the postman, I'm like, yeah, I better be expecting that letter or parcel. I'm not answering it. You can take it with you. I don't care. Like literally. So I was like, wow, people actually answer their door. What? So it's so weird. And then they ask you questions, and you really have to be briefed. You have to kind of know what you're talking about, or at least believe what you're saying. And so like, wow, I was just like, it was a very steep learning curve, because I'm not political. It wasn't my upbringing. I didn't do like anything at all. Then I was elected. I actually got the most votes. I mean, it might have something to do with my surname begin with B. Might have something to do with the fact that I'm a female, because I think some people really like that sometimes. And then also might have something to do because we were in a predominantly conservative area. So I had the three things working for me. So anyway, I got the most votes, happy about that. And there's now I also know, like, the local community, like a lot of people, some great people. And from there, you become a member of the council, and you have to go in and do these council meetings. And you know, you also get put on different committees as well. So initially I was on the environment committee and the licensing committee, because obviously licensing makes sense for me because I'm in the thick of it with clubs. So so I was like happy to do that. It's interesting because you get to see what's going on, you get to see behind the scenes. And now I'm one of the vice chairs of the licensing. I was asked to be the deputy mayor of Kensington and Chelsea, so I'm currently the deputy mayor of Kensington and Chelsea.
She has the bling.
Yeah, I do have the chain and all the amazing stuff. We also get like an electric taxi with our like press on.
I haven't seen the taxi.
Oh well, you're missing out. Well, I'll show you one day. But yeah, so it's really cool because that's another way of just like totally exploring the whole borough. You're invited to all these amazing things, all these like charity events, all these like up and coming entrepreneurial events. Just so many things that are going on around the borough. You know, you can put people together. For example, I was at some sort of reserves military thing, and they want to do more stuff with some of the youth in the borough. And so I'm like, yeah, well, you know, you put people together and just make it happen. So that's kind of exciting. I think actually a lot of our youth need an outlet. We have youth clubs, we have all this stuff, but sometimes you need a bit more structure, or even a lot of people don't know what they want to do in life. And that's, you know, kind of going back to what you're saying. And even if you don't know what to do, you still can learn a skill, or you can learn something that will help you no matter what you end up doing in life. In fact, it will benefit you greatly no matter what you're doing. So I think, doing things like that is amazing, and I'm so excited and so happy to kind of just continue this journey. I've got until about March or April.
What do you love about Kensington, Chelsea, or London in general?
Oh well, I love London just because it's like my home, and I walk and cycle everywhere. So I've always walked everywhere, and I cycle a lot too. For those cycle enthusiasts out there, I'm one of you. but I just love that it's so varied. I love the architecture, I like the design, I like the fact that we have like so many different cultures, and we can experience these cultures. So for example, all the different restaurants, all the different sort of areas that have their own elements. We have the busyness of, like, you know, the high streets and whatever, but also the villaginess of different areas, and that for me is incredible. This is not necessarily, this is probably it might be a bit of a negative, but you can really see the different areas and the way they're treated. So like some areas are so beautiful and cared for and manicured, and just people have respect for where they live. And then you go to some areas and it's literally like a dump, and that really makes me sad, because that's just because people have no respect for where they live, or you just like throw rubbish on the floor, or you just have no regard, and that is just, and you just throw these bikes down like willy-nilly, like that's not cool. It's not a 24-hour city though, which I would like to.
Me too. It's really annoying, like 11 o'clock and everything's just crazy.
So I think there's definitely room for that, and also like night tubes and things. I don't know. Anyway, let me not get started.
We're gonna have a big podcast on London and London nightlife. We've got lots to say on that, haven't we?
Lots.
Amy Lammy.
Oh, honestly, she gets paid to do nothing.
She gets paid a lot.
I know. I would take her job until I become mayor of London.
There we go. Stepping stones.
Sadiq wouldn't have me because I'd make
you'd actually make him do a job. And also, like, just talking about what you said, local government, like you said, personal responsibility has a lot to play, a part to play. But what we definitely want to do at some point is podcasts on local government, because people use local elections to protest.
Yes.
And then wonder why they've
Yes.
got terrible services or
Yeah.
people aren't taking care.
Potholes.
So it's really important.
No
to, like,
rubbish being collected
yeah,
for like a month.
2 weeks. Some of the areas, like, because we've campaigned a lot everywhere. Some places they're like once a month you get your bins lit.
Can you imagine?
Crazy. And people accept it because they don't think they can do anything about it. Well, you can. Vote Conservative. London, what do you think? Obviously, like, the nightlife is something that, like, a lot of people talk about. A lot of young people, a lot of journalists, a lot of people who just experience London. What else do you think London needs? Like, because London is the greatest city in the world, but it does feel like recently it's kind of it's floundering.
Yeah. So for me, I noticed the high streets are really boring and lacking. Having that real destination place to go is fun. Gets your cardio going.
Yeah.
Your shopping is cardio. You can touch the fabrics and you can. It's just a whole different experience. Shopping online is nothing like.
No,
even if they just have like a flagship store of like Boohoo or Shein or these cheap online shops, whatever they are. I'm not endorsing them.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, all these online shops, for example, like Topshop left, right? Topshop with all the little concessions. How fun was that shop?
Awesome.
It was so good. It had like Miss Selfridge, it had Topshop, it had, whether you bought loads or not, it didn't matter. The point is, it was a destination and place to go. Young people like to go there, but all ages like to go there. It was like it was ingrained in our lives, right? And now all we have is like 5 H&Ms, 5 Zara's, 5 Uniqlos, all in one street. What are you doing? Come on. Like, I mean, and then they still don't have what you want, right? Because it's just crappy fast fashion. But, like, I don't know. I just think we need to have a few more independent shops as well would be nice. Some cool kind of places to go. Like, maybe even do like pop-ups and collaborations with some of the fashion houses or like some of the student fashion places. Like, what a way to learn your trade. For me, London is or was a place of fashion. And it should and it needs to be. We need that. So that would be nightlife, fashion.
So let's talk food. What do you eat? Because you won't see, but Laura is very in shape, very, very in shape. Whenever I need to, like, be in shape, I go to have, what do I eat?
I'm not that in shape.
What do you eat?
The other day we were out having a coffee. I had a crepe pancake.
Yeah.
You ate nothing.
I had a green juice.
Yeah. The opposite. The polar opposite. Anyway.
And then I went to Waitrose and bought cookies. So
true.
And I ate them all. All of them. Like 5 minutes. And I felt really sick.
Oh God! But I do like chocolate chip cookies. There's this one I don't buy it anymore because they put the price up and it's extortionately expensive. But in Dalesford.
Dalesford is good. They do always rack up the prices.
I'm naming and shaming because you are taking the biscuit.
The broth is now like £7. I'm like, I swear it used to be a £5.
Yeah, ridiculous. Anyway, they have these cashew chocolate chip things with like cashew nut butter in the middle. Ooh. Honestly, so good. But no. I don't buy it.
No more.
Yeah, never.
Which is good, actually. Yeah. It's helpful.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're like, I'm healthy.
Thanks for hiking the price up. You're never going to sell your biscuits again to me.
Awesome. So shall we go into, so what we're going to be doing in these podcasts is, this one's been a bit more about us.
Yeah.
Normally we'll talk about topics of the week, topics of that podcast.
Yeah.
Do interviews, and we're also going to do lots of vox pops, like we said, lots of videos, speaking to people,
getting to know you,
getting to know
all about you.
So we thought we'd do just a very brief, like, kind of roundup of the week, what the topics we're talking about, thinking about, etc.
Yes. So obviously, the hot topic is Conservatives. They are finding a new leader.
Yes.
And they've just done the first round of like culling. It was a bit brutal, but it is what it is. So basically what happens is they get the like top 5 or 6 or whatever, and then they knock it down to 2 eventually, and then the party members will get to pick from the last 2. So this week what happened?
So we had 6, we now have 5. So we had Tom Tugendhat, James Cleverly, Priti Patel, quite a known figure, Kemi Badenoch, whose name I learnt this week is not Badenoch, because there's no bad in her name, as she says. Badenoch. She literally made a video telling everyone, like, don't say my own name wrong. Kemi Badenoch, who else is there? Robert Jenrick. and Mel Stride, the underdog. So yesterday there was a ballot. Priti Patel lost.
Ouch.
She's out.
She's out of the game.
Yeah, she's out there. She's probably the oldest, not the oldest, sorry, Priti. The longest serving MP of that leadership.
She's definitely,
cohort.
I think, the most well known.
Yeah, and definitely the most well known. She used to be Home Secretary. Was quite big on like anti-immigration. A lot of the stuff that Suella continued, like the Rwanda schemes, she brought in. So Priti's out. The surprise was that Tom Tugendhat was third from bottom. So Mel Stride, who everyone thought was like going to go first, or second, and Tom Tugendhat were only 1 point apart. So Tom Tugendhat's not looking as much of a favourite as he was.
Yes,
but perhaps some of Priti's
voters,
will go to him or someone else. We don't know. But yeah, Robert Jenrick's the top.
Yeah,
he's number one. By the time this goes out, there'd have been another vote, and we'll get to actually see them on the last final four at conference. Hopefully they'll do some hustings and things that will give us a bit more clear idea of like how we want to vote
exactly,
and we get that vote.
So exciting.
So yes. So next up, okay, so this is probably going to be old news, but I have to mention it because I just find it very silly. So obviously Angela Rayner went to Ibiza over the summer and was partying it up, all good and great, whatever. But today somebody in the news round asked her about it, and she was like, "I'm working class. I like to dance." And I just thought, what on earth? And a lot of people have said this, like, what? They're really milking this working class thing. What on earth has that got to do with dancing? Like, are middle class people no longer allowed to dance? Do we not dance?
I think it's rubbish. I think, like, why would you even say that? It's the worst soundbite of the week, I would like to say.
Agree.
But honestly, it's so stupid. It doesn't matter your class, your age, or anything.
Yeah.
Just dance.
It is weird though, like Labour are obsessed with class, and
so obsessed.
I feel like class wasn't something people were speaking about until Keir Starmer decided that he was a working class boy, his dad was a toolmaker. Before he decided class was an issue.
Why does he always miss it?
He's obsessed with class.
But you know what? Sorry, just to go back to that. Every time someone says his dad was a toolmaker, I want to laugh because obviously it's a joke, right? But every time he says it, he's so serious. Like, is he just trying hard not to like to get the joke? Does he not get it? Does he have no humour?
People laugh.
I know.
There was a debate or something. I think it was a leadership debate. And some people started laughing. He's like, "No, it's not funny." It's like, okay, calm down. It actually is funny. Chill out.
But it would be better if these people had a bit more humour.
Yeah.
Because like currently, as it stands, they're just miserable, depressing people that are just trying to like tax us to the high heavens and just make us all cry. And then putting class in dancing is just ridiculous.
Okay, so if you keeping with Angela Rayner,
oh god,
she's doing lots of crazy stuff. So everyone knows that Angela Rayner bought her house through Right to Buy, famous Margaret Thatcher policy that liberated millions of people. That actually empowered people, enabled them to buy their own homes. It empowered my granddad to do that. Apparently, now Angela Rayner's done that, she wants to pull the ladder up behind her, and she apparently wants to end it.
Yeah, I mean, for the simple fact that she is pulling the ladder up, that really is just, it's infuriating because I feel like that's kind of what they're doing in a lot of their policies and ideas. I do think there is an argument that at the moment we are sort of maybe struggling with a slight housing crisis. We seem to have lots of people that we can't house. And I do think, you know, some people do manipulate the whole, you know, the whole scheme or whatever, and they do use it for their advantage for sure, whether it be to do like buy to let or whatever, whatever it is. But for her to say it is like it's so like it's crazy. There needs to be a slightly other way to deal with it because I do think, you know, it's great to be able to have that option if you legitimately need it.
What do you think about Labour MPs or MPs of any party living in council housing whilst they're on like a 90k salary, finger wagging at everyone else on the opposite side? How is that acceptable that you are a member of parliament taking a space I don't get that argument.
Yeah, it's really out of order.
Yeah.
I agree. Any party doesn't matter, but also anyone in any job. But that if you're earning what, like 100 grand and you're sitting in a council house, what are you doing? Like, stop it. Yeah, it's not cool. It's not acceptable.
This kind of goes back to what you were saying about just abusing the system.
Yeah.
And taking people for fools.
For fools.
Okay, so this is bugging me too, because I have a vested interest as a single person. Apparently, and I don't know if it's been confirmed yet, but apparently Angela Rayner is going to end the single person discount on council tax.
I mean, I think that's ridiculous. For example, if you're a single person, but you maybe own like a 2-bedroom property, then fine.
Right.
If you're on your own and you're in a studio or a 1-bed, and it's like an actual like 1-person property, what are you doing? Like, you're going to penalize them further. It's crazy. It's expensive.
The way I see it, like, firstly, council tax is super expensive. Second of all, me as a single person, and you give me a 25% discount, I'm still paying 25% more than a couple, right?
Yes.
Anyway.
Yeah.
If you take that away, I'm now paying double the amount that a couple would make. You're basically saying, because you're single, you suck, pay twice as much. Like, what the hell is that?
Yeah, it's horrible.
Okay, so anything else we want to talk about this week?
Yes. How long is Starmer going to blame the Conservatives? Okay, fine. The Conservatives were in for like 14 years. A lot of things maybe didn't pan out as well. We did have like a couple of big crises during that time. So, you know, things aren't going to be like totally amazingly wow. Yeah. But like, he was still a member of parliament, still influencing some decisions, because, you know, that's what they have debate for.
And he was blocking a lot of stuff.
Exactly. So how long is he going to blame the Conservatives?
I know. I think he's going to do it forever. I think his whole first term is going to be like, he is the most nag. I do that voice on purpose because I feel like he's a nag. He's like the biggest nag in the country. He's always wagging his finger at me, telling me I'm wrong, telling me everything's bad, everything's broken, everything's rubbish.
It's gonna get taxed.
It's just so depressing. He's like the most depressing person I've ever come across, and it's like, you just won. Like, you should be happy. Try and instill some hope in the country rather than just wagging your finger at us, telling us we can't do this, we can't do that. Everything's terrible and it's all somebody else's fault. When are you going to be the guy in charge? Like, he keeps forgetting, like in PMQs.
Oh my God.
He's, I think about 7 times. Was it 5?
I think it was 5 times.
He called Rishi Sunak the Prime Minister. It's like, okay, the first week, I get it. It's been like 2 months, dude. Like, if you don't want the job, that's fine.
If you're not capable, wow.
Loads of other people do it, but you can't even remember you're doing it. Like, it doesn't give me much confidence. Yeah. So, Labour's first 2 months, how's it going? Do you think they're doing a good job?
I'd like to say not really. I'd like to say they're annoying everybody.
Yeah, they are.
Even the people they voted for.
Yeah,
like,
even
what?
Even their own.
Yeah. This whole like dismal tax rises and hikes on every corner they can, and like, you know, like hurting all the pensioners. And
why doesn't he like pensioners?
I know.
Is it because they don't vote Labour?
Maybe.
That's very cynical, but it feels like it.
Yeah. Also, they're the salt of the earth, and they're the only ones that have actually put in all their lives.
No.
Like, actually, if anyone deserves like the benefits of what the UK has to offer, they are it.
Literally.
They're the foundation.
I know.
Like, it's really insulting. Give them heating.
Give them heat, at least.
Seriously, God. And okay, fair enough. There are a lot of that are super wealthy and maybe don't need like the extra benefits or heating or whatever it is that they can get. They don't have to take it.
No.
And if they're respectable older people that are wealthy, they don't take it.
Yeah.
Or they do something with it. Whatever.
Yeah.
But people that need it, and that's it. And
there definitely should be a mechanism of saying, because just saying people, this is like one of my problems with Labour. Yeah. They just saying people on pensioner credit can get it. Yeah. They just want people on benefits. They don't want to like actually problem solve. They just want people in a box that they can control. Yeah. And that's the problem. Like, there are people who might be earning 13,000 a year, which is not a huge amount of money. When you can't really supplement your income, you're a pensioner. Yeah. It's crazy to me that on 13k you're considered too rich in Labour's world. Like, you are too rich, you 13,000 pounder. Like, that's bizarre. Yeah, like, it's bizarre. Okay, you're sitting on a pension of like, I don't know, 100k or whatever, you could probably afford to heat your own house. But when you're on a 13k pension, I mean, come on, that's ridiculous.
I agree.
Also, obviously, we've got to briefly mention the fact that, you know, Labour had a pretty brutal summer. They got outed for putting lots of Labour donors into the civil service, giving them passes into Downing Street. I like to talk about this a lot because they like to not talk about it a lot. What do you think of that? Did that leave a bad taste in your mouth?
Yeah, absolutely. Who is this donor that's giving him £11,000 for glasses?
That's crazy.
What are you doing? Where are these glasses made? In the moon?
Why can't he afford his own glasses?
First of all, go to Spectators. You know what I mean? Like,
I know.
Well, there's the online one that you can get them for like £8 or whatever. I don't know. But like, what are you doing? Also, a clothing allowance.
He was Director of Public Prosecution. Surely that has a decent salary. Surely you've got some money in the bank.
He was definitely wearing suits before he was elected. So, like, what's wrong with your suits? Recycle them, wear them again.
If it's good enough for the Princess of Wales to rewear her clothes, I think you could do the same.
Exactly. Honestly, like this, it infuriates me, and it's all. I also feel it's quite corrupt because it doesn't matter how you put it, whether it happens or not. This guy now, this donor, I can't remember his name.
Ali, I think. Let me check.
I can't remember his name.
I think it's Wahid Ali, but that might just be wrong.
Yeah. So, but like, he's absolutely now got the ear of the president, prime minister, president. I'm going global. I'm going global. He's absolutely got the ear of the prime minister, and so whether the prime minister knows it or not, or even if there's anything untoward or not, the point is the perception in the public domain.
Wahid Ali, Wahid Ali.
So, like, I mean, seriously.
And their response is, "Oh, he's a great guy." It's like, I'm sure, you know, the Conservative donors are great guys too, but you didn't let up on that.
Exactly.
You said that's a problem. So why is it a problem when it's someone else but not you?
Did he pay for Angela Rayner's Ibiza trip?
Potentially.
You know what I mean?
You know who we did pay for? He gave a pretty sizable donation to Sue Gray's son, which makes sense as to why he might have a pass in Downing Street for some reason.
But it is not right. A donor having a pass to Downing Street, or what are you doing?
What are you doing?
11 grand on glasses, I can't get over it. Like,
and also, like, he's always on his high horse about how he's here for service and country first. Like, I don't know how him getting a new pair of glasses or a new suit benefits the country. Like, how does that help us?
It doesn't. Being not just a member of parliament, being the prime minister, but also being a member of parliament, you have a duty to keep everything above board and to, like, not just sound like a weirdo, because that is weird.
That's it. It's a hypocrisy. That's a problem with Labour. They're so hypocritical. They are, because they're fighting for council houses and saying that the Conservatives won't give enough people housing, but then they're filling up council houses themselves. They're saying Tories shouldn't go on holidays, and then going on holidays themselves and saying because they do, it's okay because they're working class, like that matters or means anything. They're saying, oh, I put the country first, but not before my glasses. Like, it's just stupid. It's just really bizarre.
And then also on top of that, you know, all these strikes, we're going to put up their money like that. But then, you know, obviously their priority is then, because they are going to vote for them. They are Labour. They are Labour run pretty much. And so, where is the fairness in that when it comes to the other people who are maybe not Labour, that maybe need a pay rise or whatever?
Look, the pensioners' winter fuel allowance costs, I think, 1.5 billion, something like that. Fair enough, you want to reduce it, whatever. But then to say, we're not going to spend this 1.5 billion because there's a 22 billion black hole that no one believes in, and then to give 10 billion to people striking, that's like, well, those maths don't really add up. And it so obviously shows where their priorities lie, and it's super cynical, and it's all about votes, and it's political, and it's really gross.
Yeah, it's really gross. But that's it. Like, there are some things that I think should not be partisan, and I don't know if it's up to. I doubt the Labour would do this, but like some things, for example, NHS, education, all these things should not be partisan at all. There should be, like, groups from all parties working together to actually make it the best it can possibly be, like a world renowned, like incomparable. But that's never going to happen, because they use it off each other. But imagine what a wonderful world it would be.
Great. It would be great.
It would be great.
I think that's a good time to wrap up.
It is a good time to wrap up. But yeah, let's see. We got so much more to talk about over the weeks and years to come.
Yes, we do. We do. Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning into our first episode.
Yeah.
It's a bit unlike the other ones that are to come, but stick with us. We're going to have some different formats and lots to talk about.
Yeah, we are. Well, you've been watching ModCons with Jamila and Laura. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys.
Thanks so much.